This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good morning, Southampton. Those who have had breakfast can sit down. Those who haven't can go home and have some breakfast and come back, and I'll still be doing my preview talk. So, private joke. Quorum of 50 is present. I call our we're still fall, special town meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Stephen Thor Johnson, would you lead us? And join us if you wish.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Good morning, fellow citizens of Southampton. Welcome to our 2025 Fall Special Town Meeting. I'm Robert Floyd, your town moderator. It's a privilege to serve you. Thank you for your support. It really is. We have some technical difficulties with the internet tonight, so this will not be going out live. It will be recorded and it will be going out as soon as possible after the meeting. For complete transparency and disclosure, I also serve you by being Southampton Cemetery Commission Clerk. I devote my time as clerk of the Southampton Cemetery Commission to be the contact for burials, requests, and all communication matters for the commission. There is no compensation for this privilege to serve you. It's a busy season. Thank you for prioritizing this morning and coming out with our light dusting of snow. Our town meeting is a business meeting of Southampton. Our legislative branch session is called according to a posted warrant. It is the official record of what we will discuss and the only topics for our town meeting this morning. I'll read the warrant. Town of Southampton Special Town Meeting, William E. Norris School. And you are hereby directed to serve the warrant by posting attested copies thereof at 6 usual places in said town 14 days at least before the time of the holding said meeting hereof. Fail not, and make due return of the warrant with your doings thereon to the town clerk at the time and place of meeting as aforementioned. And it's signed by the select board and the constable. May we have a moment of silence now in keeping with Southampton's culture for those who have moved on ahead since our last town meeting. Hold them dear in our hearts. I'd like to thank E-Media, Tim Riley, Jackson Foote, and the team for setting it up this morning and dealing with the difficulties of no internet and the work that may be required later on. I publicly thank Sierra Simmons for her first successful year as our deputy moderator. Without objection, Sierra Simmons is permitted to continue as deputy moderator through the annual town election. Congrats, it's unanimous. Could Sierra come up? Will our town clerk, Lucy Dalton, administer the oath of office, please? Hi. Thank you. It's official. The warrant. The articles are posted in at least 5 locations to warn the public about a legislative meeting. You have been heed of the warning. The executive branch of our town's government, the Select Board, Finance Committee, Treasurer, Collector, Accountant, Town Clerk, and Administrator have worked hard to create and weigh in on this morning's special town meeting warrant articles. Their work is done. Some members of our executive branch sit in front. According to our tradition, everybody at the head tables is a guest of the moderator. They do not have more of a vote or input than any of you in our special town meeting. Town moderator's rules, rather than the town council's legal opinion, apply while a town meeting is in progress. Your moderator allows commercial TV cameras, which are a privilege, not a right, provided they stay at the back of the town meeting room on the far side of the floor line or outside the building, avoiding aisles and hallways. As your town moderator, my role is to facilitate an open process that voters can trust, administering the rules and guidelines in an even-handed, impartial, and consistent manner, regardless of who you are. I do not guarantee any specific outcome. One of my duties as your moderator is to safeguard the rights of individuals against illegal encroachment, whether unintentional or otherwise. Moderator's authority is limited to the process, not the outcome. I trust the outcome to you, the fully informed voters of Southampton. Procedure achieves goals rather than manipulate town meeting proceedings. I assist every dedicated voter as I serve the town. Therefore, if your inexperience here is holding you back, let me guide you through the process this morning. You challenge my process with a point of order shouted from your seat. I will invite you to the microphone where you can describe what pending action is frivolous, irrelevant, illegal, or contrary to proper procedure. Any attempt to misuse this as a tactic to usurp the floor will be addressed firmly. Your responsibility is to serve as a legislative branch of our government for today's articles. A town meeting is a legislature where the government trusts the people. You have the power to enact laws, control the budget, and execute your freedom of speech. Speaking and participating in a town meeting is a right, but like all rights, it should not be abused or denied. The moderator is responsible for conducting the meetings as authorized by our Commonwealth General Laws, Chapter 37, Sections 15 and 17, our bylaws and traditional customs and practices, which we have followed for many years. With guidance from the principles and rules of conduct in town meeting time, a parliamentary handbook of guidance for town moderators. There's a new one out, $75. I can't afford to buy 2 of them like I did historically for the library for you to use. But you can get an e-book for $9.99 for the rest of the month. This organic process remains dynamic as our customs, traditions, and practices evolve. Once a motion is read, and I have asked for and received a second, I invite a pro statement and a con statement. All discussions must be relevant to a motion under a warrant article and within the scope of each article before us, including the merits or lack thereof of the motion. It's when after a comment is ruled out of order or scope, the speaker continues to debate the moderator. At that point, the speaker is directed to sit down. Speaking at the mic, ready to contribute something new, please approach the microphone at the front. Stand in line to be acknowledged by the moderator. First come, first heard. I recognize speakers only when they stand at the mic, unless it's a point of order. Address the moderator, clearly state your name and address. Avoid speaking directly to others, helps to avoid lecturing, bullying, and intimidation. All cross-examinations are out of order. Speak up to 5 minutes at a time. Sometimes only allowed 2. As long as you stay on topic regarding the motion and direct your opinions, questions, and answers and remarks to me, not the town meeting audience. And speak no more than twice in any article except to correct an error or answer a question. Please ensure that everyone has the opportunity to be heard before you ask to be listened to a second time on an article, and make concise, to the point remarks. Both sides will be heard regarding each article to keep the integrity of our town meeting as intact as possible. I will permit anyone who has previously spoken to address the meeting a second time with a new point of rebuttal, no repetition. Before you cast your vote, whether yes or no, you are free to question, amend, and table or kill any motion. This is to legislate in a civilized manner. Amendments are letting the town meeting adjust an article to make it more palatable rather than voting it down. Amendments must be submitted in duplicate. Please print your name on it for our records. I will use tellers for counting unless it is unanimous or clearly a majority. Our pre-appointed counters, when needed, will count a section as a pair and then compare their counts. If they disagree, the count resumes to ensure a complete and accurate count is announced so everyone can hear. They count from front to back. Please do not applaud, cheer, boo, shout, but listen to what each person has to say before you make your final decision. Please show respect for your neighbors who may vote differently from you. This is a legislative body and should be contemplative. Anyone unwilling to comply with these rules will be removed after the third warning. So let this be our first warning. My goal has been to provide the town meeting with as much factual information as possible so that you can make informed votes that are best for you. Anyone unsatisfied with the lack of information for an article may motion to adjourn a special town meeting so that the presenter can obtain the necessary information. Are there any reasons to change the order of the articles? Hearing none, we proceed. Simply because someone states something doesn't mean it is accurate. The majority that leans towards approval does not make it right. Any non-voter speakers to vet? Listen attentively, vote according to your conscience. Thank you all for your patience and for respecting everyone this morning. These guidelines will help us have a more efficient meeting. Can I hear a motion for Article 1, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer an amount totaling $327,185 from the accounts as listed in Article 1 of the December 6, 2025 special town meeting warrant to the Group Health Active Employees, account number 01-914-5170, said sums to come from the FY26 listed accounts.
Motion made. Do I hear a second?
Second that.
Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak for this article?
Mr. Moderator, Scott Zabak, Town Administrator. You might have heard that health insurance increases have become a very significant problem for municipalities all across Massachusetts. Southampton is not the only community to be dealing with this problem, but it is one of the communities that has been hit the hardest. Southampton is currently a member of the Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust, which is a group of over 70 municipalities that buy health insurance as a group, and we've been part of that trust for decades. We are just one of those 70 member organizations with the trust, which means that we have very little say in the administration of the trust other than our one vote against the 70 other municipalities. Changes for the trust aren't just difficult, they're non-existent because of this. Late last fiscal year, it was announced that for July 1st, 2025, there would be an 18+% increase in our health insurance costs through the trust. That amount was already devastating to our budget. Then in late August, we were notified that for the trust to remain solvent, they needed another increase of 20% in October. And then on top of that, our retiree plans will be increasing by 20% for January 1st. And again, on top of that, we were notified that there would be another double-digit increase coming down the road for July 1st, this upcoming fiscal year. That's more than a 50% increase in our largest single line item outside of the schools in 1 year. I won't go into my thoughts on and opinions on how the Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust has been run. Their executive director resigned last month, another employee resigned last week, and the state legislature has pending legislation to help communities exit the trust. However, none of that solves the problem that dozens of communities have now, which is to make sure that we can pay our legally obligated health insurance costs. Health insurance costs are a little bit of a moving target, so we expect this 20% increase to cost anywhere an additional $300,000 plus for this fiscal year. After January 1st, we will have to recalculate everything, including the retiree cost increases and the new staffing levels, but this should take care of the cost for our town and the Norris School staff. This transfer will get us to the end of the fiscal year, but at the very least, annual town meeting. However, it's not all bad news. We have been able to move forward with an agreement with our unions to join the State Group Insurance Commission, better known as the GIC, for the upcoming fiscal year. The GIC has over 280,000 subscribers and 460,000 members. It provides and administers high-quality, affordable health insurance and other benefits to the Commonwealth's employees and retirees. So basically everyone from the governor all the way down to the road crews at Mass DOT. It also provides coverage to participating municipalities such as Northampton, housing and redevelopment authorities, personnel, as well as retired employees for the state and the municipality. This move should save the town close to $400,000 next year from what the trust offered, provide stability to our health insurance budget, decrease our administrative workload, and offer more options to town employees and retirees. There will be some risk depending on which plans employees migrate to and what our run-out costs may be, even if we are legally bound to pay them from leaving the trust. But there should be savings to the town of almost $7,400 for each employee on a family plan, and the employees will be seeing a savings of nearly $3,000 for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to speak in opposition to this motion under Article 1? Any other comments, questions? Come right up. Don't wait to be invited.
Good morning. My name is Elaine Dastily. I live at 3 Hawthorne Drive, and I'm a retiree of the town of Southampton. My community is very important to me, as to all of you. And a concern, being a retiree, is that Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is our insurance, has been fantastic for everyone. Now, the cost that we're going to incur, as well as the care that we may come to with the new insurance, is a concern for retirees. We have not really been given a choice or voice in what plan as yet we may come to a decision on, but we'd like to be included in that decision making. And I just would like to speak to that and ask that the community remember that retirees pay their portion of the insurance as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Buehler, 88 High Street. Two questions, if that's okay. The first one is, my understanding is that health insurance is an operating cost. So is it even, I don't know the word, acceptable or legitimate to use capital stabilization funds and ambulance stabilization funds for an operating cost? The second question is, what will the, I guess, short to medium term impact be of using $150,000 of capital stabilization funds for an operating cost? Will that affect any big capital cost the town's looking at in the next couple of years?
Thank you. Who would like to answer that? Bradley, Scott?
So the $150,000 transfer would be reduced our stabilization fund to $165,000, and our capital would be $150,000. Is it the best case scenario? No, but we're currently in the middle of the fiscal year, so we can't take from any other already appropriated funds until later on in the year. This was a surprise. We literally got this in late August, early September, and no one really planned for a 20% increase. So right now, this is the only way that we could fund this, is without cutting either operational cost or personnel cost. And
Answer your question.
With the GIC, it should help correct it for July 1st, and hopefully we can replenish some of the money to our stabilization fund then.
Okay, I think that answered the second question, but the first question was, is this even a legitimate use of capital stabilization or ambulance stabilization funds, given that health insurance is an operating cost?
It is. It does require town meeting to transfer the funds.
Thank you.
Answer your question, Mike? Cheers. Anyone else? Questions, comments, opinions? Seeing none, we'll vote. All those in favor? No, hold it. We got to do this. All those in favor, raise your cards. Show me the green. Okay, put it down. Opposed? Passes by majority. May I have a motion for Article 2, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer an amount totaling 300, I'm so sorry. Novice error, sorry about that. Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend sections 35-1, 35-2, 35-4, and add section 35-5 and section 35-6 of the town's general bylaws as listed in Article 2 of the December 6, 2025 special town meeting warrant.
Motion made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. I am going to step down for this motion under Article 2 because it involves the moderator, so keeping with ethics proper, we're going to have our deputy moderator take over.
All right, who would like to speak in favor of this motion?
Madam Moderator, Scott Zabak, Town Administrator. So these proposed changes to the Finance Committee bylaw would further define their duties and responsibilities and change the positions from elected to appointed. Now the question is, why do we need to make these changes to the bylaw? The short answer is, unfortunately, the current system simply does not work. Yes, there are a lot of points supporting the change. The first is it's more efficient. There have been a lot of vacancies and it's quicker for the town moderator to interview and appoint. The second one is there are currently no qualifications for this important committee other than being a registered voter. This change would institute an actual vetting process based on qualifications and experience, just like we currently do with other appointed committees. It's also recommended best practice, and over 85% of the finance committees in the state are appointed. Sure, each community is unique and different and should do what is best for them, but certainly telling that the vast majority of municipalities are moving away from electing their FinCom. And it's becoming more and more difficult for citizens to volunteer to become an elected official in this current environment, to put their names out there for voters, but also to be criticized and scrutinized, when all they want to do is volunteer their time, experience, and expertise to make the town better. Those are all legitimate points that should be considered, but the primary reason that this process needs to change is based on participation. And unfortunately, it isn't exclusive to the FinCom. Other elected communities have vacancies as well. But when you look at the numbers, since 2019, positions for FinCom have appeared 23 times on the ballot. 13 of those 23 times, or 60% of the positions, were filled by write-ins, or they weren't filled at all, remaining vacant, meaning 0 votes and 0 write-ins. The town clerk labels it a failure to elect. In 2019, there was a write-in elected with just 4 votes. 2020, 3 people were elected with a write-in of just 2 votes each. 2022, another position was filled with a write-in of 2 votes. And in 2023, a write-in received 3 votes. This is concerning because without a quorum, town business stops. Additionally, there hasn't been a contested election for FinCom in over a decade, so when a name appears on a ballot, that is the only choice voters have. This means that there isn't a process for voters to compare candidates or determine what their positions in view are, or to learn about their qualifications and experience. This leads to the only qualification being able to convince 1 or 2 friends to write your name on the ballot, or to just get someone to the town caucus to put your name on the ballot. When you look at the structure of our government, the independent branches and checks and balances will only be strengthened with these changes. The Select Board acts as the town's executive branch, similar to the governor or president, and they're responsible for the day-to-day operations and general direction of the town, often acting through professional staff. Town meeting acts as the town legislative body of the town. You approve the annual budget, authorizing specific expenditures, the issuance of debt, and the use of free cash. You also approve bylaws, specific policies, and other changes to government, very similar to Congress. The town moderator is the leader of the legislative body, and this elected official is trusted to make decisions that directly impact the town on a regular basis. If we trust the position of moderator to guide town meeting, the position can certainly be capable of appointing the Finance Committee. And that leads me to the Finance Committee, the town's official fiscal watchdog. Its primary statutory responsibility is to advise and make recommendations to town meeting on the budget and other areas of finance. The Finance Committee plays a vital role and is involved in every step of the budget process. Ultimately, it is the Select Board to prepare the town's budget and it's the Finance Committee's responsibility to review the budget submitted to them and to make recommendations regarding the budget to the town's legislative body, you, the town meeting. However, for this to continue to happen, we need a sustainable system that isn't dependent on a few write-in votes every year and establishes minimum qualifications and experience to serve on the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Would anyone like to speak in opposition to this? Go ahead.
Tammy Walunas, 298 College Highway. Madam Moderator, what qualifications does the monitor have for making these decisions of who is going to be our finance group? The town meeting doesn't listen to the finance group on many occasions and have been shut down at many special town meetings and annual town meetings with their requirements. I don't see this going forward if we don't even give the respect to the group that we have representing the voice of our community. What gives you, or excuse me, the moderator, the qualifications to do this?
Would someone like to answer that question?
Chris Fowles, 11 Gun Road. I'm speaking both from a perspective, I think, from Select Board, but also my representation on the Bylaw Review Advisory Committee. It is true that we now have a sitting FinCom. We have 4 out of 5 seats filled. This is by far the most qualified financial committee that we have had in my time on 5 years on the Select Board, and I thank them all for joining in and really being willing to step up. I will say, however, not one of them, I believe, stood for election immediately. Everybody, I think, was approached either by a member of Select Board or another town committee member because they knew of their background and their qualifications, especially in the financial field. All of these people have got financial background, and that is incredibly important to us. And with that approach, many of them, 2 of them I know for sure, accepted to be appointed by the Select Board for a period of time to try it out, to see whether FinCom was really a fit for them and whether, given the roles and responsibilities and the time commitment, it would fit their own personal life schedule. Thank goodness, after a few months, they decided to stand for election and were on the ballot and were elected. Our last election in May, we had another write-in, and thank goodness we had another person show her interest and step up. That would have been a bigger volume, I think, of votes for that candidate, but the word did not get out quickly that this person was interested in being on FinCom. So we have the votes that are important because people have volunteered first to sort of at least talk about being on the FinCom, try to maybe be appointed for a little bit, but then per our current bylaw, they have to stand for election. It's really hard to get people to volunteer for almost any committee in town, let alone stand for election. As it was mentioned, I don't believe there's been a contested election, not only of FinCom, but in general in town. I think the last one for Select Board was a good 5 years ago. So it's really very difficult. And I think by having a town moderator be that independent voice, that is, in my mind, that is the bridge between the legislative body and the executive, so the town meeting and the Select Board. The town moderator is elected annually by all of you, the voters. That is our independent entity, basically, to try and establish a FinCom, and that person would be the one that would establish qualifications, having required financial background especially, to be serving on the FinCom and be that watchdog for the town finances. Furthermore, this bylaw had basically no requirements in terms of what their duties were, and I think you'll see in the bolded section, the last sections, it has really made that a whole lot clearer in terms of the expectations of not only having an input in the budget, but meeting quarterly with the executive committee, i.e. the Select Board and the Finance Committee in Town Hall, the treasurer and accountant, to really make comments about budget requests and put forth a budget for you in May. Thank you.
Does that answer your question, Tammy?
Yes and no. So even on this article, we don't even have their recommendations. So we're not even including them on this document.
Is that a question? No, okay. Okay. Another response to that?
So just to address our lack of recommendation, I believe we all have personal recommendations or feelings about this bylaw change. However, we are, basically tasked with recommending on finance matters. And because this is a bylaw, although it falls on and impacts the finance committee, it's really outside of our kind of powers and responsibilities to give a recommendation.
Thank you. Next up to the mic.
Hi, Maureen Groden, Cheryl Lane. I disagree with the comment about the recommendations of the Finance Committee. I think there are many people in this town that look to the Finance Committee at town meeting to decide whether or not they're going to support an article or not. I know, having been on the Select Board, I valued tremendously. This Finance Committee meets with every single department in town. I've seen them take a budget and ask the right questions and make changes in the budget based on their knowledge and background. So personally, I would want an experienced and ethical Finance Committee to be appointed to make decisions on our over $20 million budget in this town. When I was in the Select Board, we continued to have problems getting people elected and stepping up for the Finance Committee. I did get one person to be appointed, and because of personal reasons, he wasn't able to then become elected after that. I sent out postcards to over 50 people in this town. I went through the town clerk street listing, and I looked at every single person that listed their occupation as a banker, accountant, insurance person. Everybody that had a background in finance, I sent a postcard to, which was over 50 people, and not one person stepped up to be on the Finance Committee. So I think we need to have a very experienced, ethical, and knowledgeable Finance Committee in this town. Thank you.
Next.
Good morning, Madam Moderator. My name is Brad Toll, and I live at 9 Maple Street in Southampton. First, I am aligned with Tammy's earlier comments. I also have great respect and appreciation for the folks that volunteer their time every day to serve our community in the various committees, so thank you. On Article 2, however, I am strongly voting no, regardless of any edits or amendments made here today. The current elected Finance Committee is a group of smart and savvy business people, as indicated by the Select Board Chair. In my opinion, the committee members are fully capable of reviewing and monitoring the financial plans of our town. Any changes in the job description could end up eliminating highly qualified people who perhaps don't have the right letters after their name. I've taken the time to get to know a couple of the members, and they have been very direct and open in sharing the financial challenges of our town, characterizing Southampton as approaching a financial cliff. I trust them. It is this level of transparency that I, as a resident, would like to see more of, especially given our current financial challenges. I want the Finance Committee to serve as our check and balance to the rest of the leadership team and their plans. By voting on Article 2, I am voting against Article 2. I am voting for maintaining an independent and outspoken Finance Committee that can openly share information and opinions that seem increasingly in contrast with the Select Board. I am hopeful that as an independent committee, they will participate in bringing forward a comprehensive capital expenses plan so we can openly and transparently prioritize Southampton's financial needs, rather than put specific projects on the ballot only to learn later of yet another financial crisis. Again, I will be voting no on Article 2, and I hope you'll do the same. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak on this article?
Hi, I'm Charlie Konecki, Charlie Konecki, 162 Valley Road. I got one question. Why is the position appointed by the moderator, not the the select board?
Who can answer that question?
I'll give it a try. Basically, anybody appoint any committee, any person on a committee appointed by the select board technically reports to the select board. Therefore, you don't have that independence. The independence would be by having the town moderator as an elected official here in town every year, do that so that there is that bridge, as I was talking about, that separation between the legislative and the executive.
Does that answer your question? Go ahead.
Marian Carrasco, Glendale Road. The last speaker just addressed my second issue, which was exactly why we need to vote for this. Having the moderator make the decision does guarantee that it's independent, which was the person who spoke. No, that was one of the concerns. The other is the quality of the Finance Committee. And when you look at and you see what's happened over the years, there is no guarantee that the Finance Committee, in fact, will meet what that speaker is looking for. Whereas if we have an independent decision maker looking at the qualifications and guaranteeing that the qualifications will be there, then we will have exactly the kind of Finance Committee that that speaker was looking for. And that's why I'm voting yes.
Thank you. Anyone else next?
Becky Plimpton, 197 College Highway. I'm a member of the Finance Committee, but I want to be clear, this is my personal opinion. So 3 of the 4 committee members have been appointed, and all 4 of us ran unopposed in our elections after that. Sorry, I got distracted. We are not sorry, I need to regroup. Go ahead.
Tracy Smith, 5 Anita Drive. The bylaw as written, if it says that if there is a vacancy after an election, that the select board can put someone in that position, so that's already in play. I know there's some discussion about the moderator might be a better person, so perhaps that's what we need to consider changing in the bylaw. Not that it should be an appointed position totally, but that there should be an election, and if there's a vacancy, maybe then the moderator could step in and appoint someone.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Sorry, as I was saying, Becky Plimpton, 197 College Highway. We have been appointed, we have been elected. Right now, until more people stand up and serve on the committees, what we have is the illusion of choice. And so we need more people to serve. That being said, if this amendment goes through and we remove a barrier for people to serve on these committees, then I am for it.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, Melissa Lucy Greenbergs, Fulmer Road. I have a couple of concerns. One, is there...
Sorry, just 1 second.
Sorry.
Could you repeat your name one more time into the mic?
Melissa Lucy Greenbergs, Fulmer Road. My concern is that there's less than zero guarantee that the moderator is in any way, shape, or form qualified to make the assessment and appoint the financial committee. The other thing is, why is this at a special meeting and not the annual meeting? This feels sneaky. There's like a small portion of the town here. If anybody could talk to that, I'd really appreciate it.
Can someone answer that question?
Yeah, I don't know that I can totally answer that. I mean, bylaws get brought forth at both special and annual town meetings. The bylaw advisory committee works on them and puts them forth when they're ready to be presented. So this was the timing of it. It still, after this, should it pass, it still goes to the Attorney General, and there'll be another, 90 days at least before anything would take effect.
Thank you. Does that answer your question? All right, next.
Hi, Jennifer Roberge, 134 Brickyard Road. I'm concerned if the moderator is interviewing people, but the other woman said 50, she sent out 50 postcards to people and nobody came up. Like, who's the moderator interviewing, first of all? That's my first thought. And secondly, why is it just one person, the town moderator? Why not the town moderator plus 4 townspeople? So it's a committee picking versus just one person.
Can someone answer that or respond to that?
With the number of vacancies that every committee carries, I can hardly recommend forming a subcommittee to do interviewing. The fundamental problem is that we're a small community and we're all busy and have our own priorities, but we need more helpers to run this town. It's not to put a badge on my chest, but since I've got the microphone, I will tell you as a member of the select board, I have been desperate to see the finance committee adequately populated so they could even legally meet and operate. So I'm delighted. I trust the process with the moderator. It's not about this moderator or the other moderator. It's about the role of the moderator. And ultimately, that's my point. Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
It does, but my first question of how are we finding these candidates? How are we going to go about, getting volunteers to come up to even be interviewed?
Can someone answer that?
Yeah, I think Rini talked to it a little bit, and maybe I did too. Basically, we put the word out on our website at various meetings saying that we're looking for candidates, and it's not only for FinCom. We currently have vacancies, I believe, on the assessors, on the school committee, on the planning board, and on CONCOM. So these are all elected positions. We as a town have a lot of elected positions, and it's very hard to get people to stand up for election. People don't want to campaign. They don't want to be challenged and have a debate, which is what one would normally hope for if we had a true election process. So as a result, it relies on word of mouth, getting the word out through various networks, all of you here and people that you know, saying, hey, my neighbor 2 streets over, happens to be an accountant, and, I don't know if he's interested or not, but, here's his name and maybe you could contact him. That's exactly how this has happened. That's exactly how folks have been found currently. And we are very fortunate that we not only found the qualified people, but they have been willing to step up and say yes when we've asked them.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Next up.
Kurt Nealon, 51 Cottage Avenue. I have a couple questions, if that's okay.
Yep, just come close to the microphone.
Okay, sorry about that.
Just say your name one more time, please.
Kurt Nealon, 51 Cottage Ave. Okay. So my first question is, if I'm reading this correctly, is the appointments are going to be for 3 years now instead of the 1, 2, 3? That's the way this is written up.
Can someone answer that?
It says right there, shall be appointed for terms of 3 years to succeed the members whose terms may expire this year. That's what it says right in your article.
So they're basically going to be staggered terms for 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years as usual. The current people that are in place that have been elected will continue to serve out their term as elected officers. When their term comes up, they will in turn then be appointed for either 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year terms. The intent is to always have a staggered expiration.
Okay, well, that's not what it says on here.
No,
so
I believe it does. I believe it does. It will serve for a term of 1 year. Mm-hmm. 2 members will serve for a term of 1 year. Yep. 2 members for 2 years, and 1 member for 3 years.
And read where it says thereafter, Finance Committee members shall be appointed for terms of 3 years to succeed the members whose terms may expire that year or the balance of terms.
To succeed the terms. So if I was serving for 2 years and I expired as an elected official, when I get appointed, I would be appointed for 2 years.
But there's no longer be elections. Everyone's going to be appointed now, which means you're appointed for 3 years when you're appointed. There no longer is going to be an election for 1, 2, or 3 year term. It's going to be strictly appointed.
But it's still going to be appointed for 1, 2, or 3 year terms.
Then you correct the article to say that.
Okay.
It's not what it says in the article.
I believe it does, but...
I just read it to you.
Can anyone else help clarify the language of the article?
Just to add one part, I'll read it again. The terms to be appointed for terms of 3 years, so that's the maximum amount anybody can serve on the Finance Committee. You can't serve any longer than that. There are some boards here, believe it or not, that have a 5-year term. Park Commission, for one, has a 5-year requirement. Okay? The terms of 3 years to succeed the members whose terms may expire that year. So again, if I was serving as an elected person for 2 years, when I get appointed, again, I'm going to be serving that term as an appointed person for 2 years.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have a second question or a second comment?
I did, but I can't remember what it was, sorry.
Okay. Next, come on up.
John LeBrie, Valley Road. I spent some time on the Finance Committee myself, and it is very difficult. We never had a full board when I was there, or committee, and now it was actually very depressing to be on that committee because you worked with budgets and people that needed things you couldn't promise or give them. You worked very hard all year long trying to come up with a budget, only to get it rototilled by the select board. Turned over. It's strictly an advisory board. You want more members, give them some authority that sticks and bites. They're wasting their time. I wasted my time. Sorry to say it like that, but it is true.
Thank you. Next.
Charlie Kadecki, 146 Valley Road. I move the question.
There's one more person who'd like to speak, who's been waiting. Come on up.
Didn't see her.
First of all, just to clarify the...
Sorry, could you say your name and street again?
Jonathan J., Coleman Road. To clarify what was being said earlier, thereafter is really the key here. It's in the currently, it's in the existing bylaw, and it's going to be in the new one. Nothing is being changed, essentially, except going from, on that part of it, going from elected to appointed. The first sentence there really says, in the beginning, this is how it's happened. We're going to start with staggered terms, and then after everyone's elected for 3 years, when the respective terms end. So nothing's being changed there in going from elected to appointed. The other thing is that as someone who's written a lot of bylaws in my life, there's no perfect answer. There's no perfect answer here. And I congratulate the Select Board and others, input from the Bylaws Committee, on what they've done to come up with the best thing. Third, really, what happens if this doesn't quite work out? There'll be town meetings in the future. It can be revisited. There'll be more input. We'll know what the experience is. I'm wholeheartedly in support of this motion. I think it's the best that we can do for right now, and we'll have the experience.
Thank you. Were you two waiting in line? We have a couple people waiting in line. Charlie, we're going to wait to vote on calling the question until everyone who's been waiting has a chance. Go ahead.
Mike Bueller, 88 High Street. I think most people in this room agree that the process of staffing the Finance Committee has not served the town terribly well in recent years. So the question is, how do we come up with a solution that simultaneously gets us expertise and talent on the Finance Committee while ensuring accountability to the citizens of the town? And frankly, I'm not loving either solution that's been on the table. I think a process of electing Finance Committee members, both, as we've discussed, doesn't do great simply turning up any candidates. And second, I don't think an electoral process provides sufficient vetting for the kind of talent, capability, and experience we're looking for. The problem is having the moderator appoint finance committee members doesn't provide the level, or to my mind, doesn't provide the level of openness, transparency, and accountability that the citizens of the town would like. So frankly, for my money, I'd much prefer a solution, like it or not, guys, that had the select board appointing finance committee members. Because the select board meets, they have the expertise, they have the experience, they have public meetings that are televised and recorded, and they're accountable both to each other and to the voters. So that, for what it's worth, that's the kind of solution I would like to see, rather than continuing with an electoral process or moving to moderator appointments. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to let these next two people come up and speak, and then we will take a vote on calling the question.
Hello, Martha Issad.
Step up to the mic and pull it down to your face a little bit. There you go.
Martha Issad, 8 Golden Circle. As I listen today, I'm going to shorten my statement because it's already been said. So I want to thank you all for allowing me to speak. I'm asking all of us here to vote no on the changing the Finance Committee from elected to appointed. This change takes the power away from us, the voters, and hands it to the town. Right now, the Finance Committee is elected, and the bylaw already allows, as we know, the town to fill any vacancy until the next election. There was some comments about write-in ballots and doing away with that it's not a good solution. Well, we, the people, can elect a president by write-in ballots. So that just doesn't click with me. What we're doing, again, I'm going to kind of exclude some things that have been said. We are shifting to a fully appointed model, which would concentrate the power of selection to one person. The long-term impact of that depends entirely on who holds that role in the future. Once we give up our vote, we don't get it back. We need transparency, accountability, and real checks and balances. This change undermines all three. Massachusetts was built on the freedom of self-government, keeping voters in charge. I ask everyone to vote no.
Thank you. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Teresa Parks, 6 Laurie Drive. This is my first town meeting, so
Welcome.
I just want to state that. I do feel like I'm very sensitive to the vacancy issue that the town has. It sounds like there are a lot of committees where we need people to step up and to serve. However, you know, as a member of the town, I am very concerned about the slippery slope of moving to an appointed process versus an elected process. I am also sensitive to the lack of qualifications that perhaps our write-in candidates may have, but at our essence, we are, you know, a democracy, and we do give people the right to vote for a reason. So I would suggest that the town, you know, double down on the efforts to try to get people to raise their hand to serve, because the bylaws already provide the town the power to appoint if there is an elect to fail. So I will be voting no. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we've had a motion to call the question, which means we're going to hold a vote to decide whether we're going to end this discussion and just push it straight to the vote for the article. So this first vote, we're just voting whether we're going to go ahead and vote or not. You're not voting on the article yet. So I'm going to ask if all those in favor of moving the question and going straight to a vote without any further discussion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Okay, so question's been called. We're going to move straight to a vote on this. And it's a voice vote, right? We're not doing the, okay. So all those in favor of the motion for Article 2, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Nay. All right, so we're going to have to do a count. Can I get the counters up, please? Sorry, the people who are coming around to count. I'll let you know when it's time to raise your ballots or your thingy things. You guys coming up?
Point of order or point of clarification, what's the threshold for this vote? Is it?
It's simple majority.
Thank you.
Everything okay with the counting process? We got enough people there? Okay, you ready? Ready to go? Okay. Everyone who's in favor, please lift up your green thumb thing and keep it up. Yeah, this is the past article. In favor of Article 2, that is. Hold your thumbs up nice and high.
$33.
Okay. That's for one section. Keep them up, we're still counting.
$20 on that side.
You said 20? Is that all the sections? Anyone else still counting? We're good? Okay, you can put your hands down. All right. All those opposed, please raise your ballots and keep them up. Paddles. Paddles, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, make sure you hold them up high so you don't get missed. Yeah.
20 on that side.
20 on that side.
30.
30 on that side. Ooh, that was a close one. All right, the motion passes by majority, 53 to 50. No applause. Not allowed. All right, come on back up.
Please give me a few minutes. I got some housekeeping to do. Before everybody leaves, I need to have us reconsider Article 1. I ignored the two-thirds requirement. I know we made two-thirds, but I need the official vote. So all those who are opposed for Article 1, which was the majority and the minority, please raise your hands or your paddles. Counters, I need you to count. We're counting again for those who voted no. Article 1. This is for Article 1. We voted, the vast majority voted yes, the small number voted no. We definitely have two-thirds. I need a number for the record. So anybody who voted against Article 1, please raise your hands and counters count and give me a number.
One on that side.
Okay.
Three.
3. The number is 4. Again, Article 1 passes, this time by two-thirds. Article 1. Article 1. I was very clear on that.
Hello. Todd Vida from 4 Donna Marie. So Article 2 passed by 2, right? By 3? So that's way too close. We should have done at least a recount or a blind count. We shouldn't just pass it on 3 votes with this many people and with subject of people counting flags.
This is what we've historically done. I've established a procedure where we have 2 counters versus the historic one. They compare notes. If they failed with the number counted, they count again. That stands. The count stands. Motion for Article 3, please.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to repeal the town's personnel bylaw, as said bylaw was amended by town meeting on May 16th, 1988, as set forth in Article 3 of the warrant for the December 6, 2025 special town meeting.
Motion made, or a second?
Second that.
Motion made and second. Who would like to speak on the motion for Article 3?
Mr. Moderator, Scott Zabak, Town Administrator. So this is the first of 2 articles. This specific one would repeal the Personnel Policy and Procedures Board, and the second would replace the wording with the Select Board. The Personnel Policy and Procedure Board, or the PQB, try saying that, adds an unnecessary layer of bureaucracy. It slows the process of hiring, delays updating our town employment policies, and risks having conflicts of interest and ethical problems. Personnel management is a profession. It's a technical skill which I did for municipalities for the greater part of the past 20 years. The day-to-day personnel management needs to be left to the department heads, administrators, and our town council with continued oversight by the Select Board. Our process needs to be more efficient to compete in today's labor market. Let me just go through a potential timeline if a department wanted to hire an employee today. So an employee resigns on July 1st. It's going to take a couple of months for the PQB and Select Board to update the job description. Now we're potentially in September. Next, the PQP has to approve the position advertisement. This could mean an additional month or 2 delay that pushes the advertisement back to October. Once approved, it's going to be advertised for 30 to 45 days. We hope to find several candidates, and it will take a couple weeks to conduct the interviews. At this point, we're into late November, early December. The department head needs to then negotiate a salary and benefits with the candidate, not knowing what the PQB will approve. And don't forget, the PQB is a committee subject to the open meeting laws, so everything is recorded and transparent and out in the open for that candidate to now have the potential of having their employer know that they're looking elsewhere. This is a difficult position to be in. Hopefully there comes to an agreement with the candidate, and now the department head needs to seek the PQB approval to hire the person at the discussed rate and benefits. If they're rejected by the PQB, it's back to the starting line. We now could easily be in early January before it goes to the PQB for approval. But also remember, again, I can't stress this enough, is the PQB is an official committee subject to the open meeting law. So now the candidate's name is going to be public without having any employment contract or any real guarantee of employment from the town of Southampton. Now, if that's approved, it's going to go to the select board for approval. This could be in late January or early February. Now the offer is complete, and after an additional couple of weeks to complete the pre-employment physicals, background checks, etc., the candidate can now give a 30-day notice with a start date of sometime in April. The position would have been vacant for almost 9 months. This is a realistic scenario of our hiring process. It can take up to 9 months to fill a position or even more, even at its fastest. It would be 6 months with all the layers of approval that the department head must go through at the minimum. Myself and the professional staff agree that these processes are too burdensome and adds little value to the final result. It's really just more obstacles. It should take no more than 120 days from a vacancy occurring to the replacement's first day of work. It's the same for the personnel policies. For example, the remote work policy, which we changed last year, which previously was just one sentence, took almost half a year to update. We do not need the additional layer of bureaucracy to basic human resource functions that should be performed by the professional staff. The day-to-day personnel administration needs to be left to the professional department heads, administration, and reviewed by town council. Simple things like approving a job advertisement shouldn't need multiple levels of approval. The job market is way too competitive to have these types of delays, and the fields of employment law and human resources changes far too fast and far too often to have these types of obstacles. Every policy and procedure move will still be vetted and reviewed by professional staff and town council, then ultimately approved by the select board in public. Policies and procedures will continue to be a collaborative process that is public and transparent. Additionally, there is the very real problem of employees serving on the same board that determines their co-workers' pay and benefits, their own pay and policies that apply to them. Just last year, 2 out of the 4 members of the Personnel Policy and Procedures Board were active town employees. That puts everyone in a very difficult position. This means that we have active employees voting on the compensation of co-workers and policies that would directly impact them and their department. I don't need to stress how much of a huge legal liability that could be. We need to make our personnel processes more efficient, to trust the qualified and experienced professionals, staff, and administration, and to move Southampton forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone like to speak in opposition? Anyone like to speak at all?
Carl Keener, County Road. I just have a question in regards to this. I was on the personnel board a few years back, and one of the things that the personnel board was, one of their responsibilities was to act as a mediator in the event of complaints or problems between employees and their department heads. If you eliminate this, you're eliminating that step for the employees to have that ability to arbitrate a problem that might not necessarily have to go to the select board. The select board was the next step after the personnel board. I think it's a bad idea to eliminate this.
Thank you. Who else would like to speak on this?
Good morning, Ian Illingsworth, Police Chief and resident on Kylene Circle. I'm in support of this article, and I want to echo what the town administrator had said as well. Essentially, this board acts as a human resources department. And for me, I found it very challenging to hire people, especially with the current workforces that we have right now and with police officers in particular. It can take a long time to hire somebody. And what I've experienced in the past, and I want to preface this first with, this has nothing, my opinion on this has nothing to do with the dedicated volunteers that were on the board that I've worked with. They've provided nothing but insight and helpfulness in the past. Where the inefficiencies lie are in that bylaw as well as the meeting schedules. And to just follow up with what Scott Zabek had said, the Personal Policy and Procedures Board meets typically once a month, the third Thursday of the month. And where that person may resign, you have to hire somebody. If you miss that third Thursday, you have to wait an entire month. And that adds to this process. And it's because they're volunteers. They do not have the time to dedicate a weekly meeting. And then, because it's a two-phase process of hiring people, that complicates things even further. And I've had positions that have taken far too long to hire as a result of this antiquated process, I'd call it, an inefficient process. What I think is important that if somebody resigns in my department, for instance, I would like to be able to go to the board, go to the town administrator and say, I need this position filled, and not have to go through that multi-phase process that takes many, many months to complete. And as a result of that, personally with my department, these shifts have to get filled, they're backfilled with overtime, and it affects my budget.
Thank you.
Arthur Lawrence, 113 Cricket Ledge Road. Thank you, Chief, for throwing me under the bus. For 8 years, I was a member and the chairman of the Personnel Policies and Procedure Board. But I totally agree with our town administrator, and I'm certainly going to vote for this particular article. I'd like to, with your indulgence, highlight a couple of things. I think some of this has been covered, but let me do my piece. One thing we do need, and I'm a volunteer, and I've volunteered for about 12 years now in Town Hall. Kiddingly, people tell me, and I tell myself, if I was a regular employee, I'd be totally vested in the retirement system. And I've seen a lot by volunteering in Town Hall. Currently, I work in, or I should say volunteer, and let me be totally transparent here. I've never received a penny from the town for any of my services, and I don't expect to be. And that includes, I don't get any rebates on my property tax or anything like that. I enjoy coming in every day, and I come in every day. I probably have one of the highest records there as far as attending work or volunteering. And I enjoy it, and I work in the, and some of you have seen me, in the building department. I help facilitate getting the building, plumbing, and electrical permits out the door.
And your point?
Pardon me?
Your point?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
And give me a minute, huh? You told me 5 minutes, so I'm getting there, and I want to justify my position, so I have no axe to grind here.
Let's get to the point.
First thing we need in Town Hall is an HR group or a personnel department. In my day, it was personnel department, and today it's HR. We need the capability of having employees being able to come right in and discuss their issues, and hopefully that would straighten these things out pretty quickly, and if not, we hopefully would not get involved with town suits and so on and so forth. I also formally agree, totally agree with the chief and other folks. The hiring process is, and I went through it too, was it just took forever to sign off after sign off after sign off. I do agree that a lot of these hiring people want to keep it quiet, and I don't blame them. One of the things I hate to see is when we have an open forum and people come in and get interviewed by the select board. I think that all should be done more quietly. Maybe the final, if there's multiple people running for a position, but certainly once the word gets out, it gets out, and that can raise the cost of the individual. The town or city can come back and put a lot of pressure on the individual, and basically the important thing here is to get good candidates. The final thing is that we do have, and you heard him speak a little bit about it, we have a person with 20 years experience as an HR director. In a couple of cities that I think you've heard of, Chicopee being one, Lawrence, Mass being another. Can you imagine being an HR director in Lawrence? Sorry, nothing against the folks of Lawrence, but it's been receivership after receivership. And I believe Wellesley was the last place. As far as what I see is that the select board is going to be putting or delegating the responsibility for this onto our town administrator. And I'm very happy to see that because of that 20 years of experience. And believe me, at times it's nice to have that.
Thank you.
So if you would join me and you know, we talk about democracy. Thank you, Robert. If you'll join me in passing this article, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on this motion? Seeing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of the motion for Article 3, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Do I hear a nay? Okay. Passes by majority. May I hear a motion for Article 4, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend Chapter 61 of the town's general bylaws entitled Personnel Policy and Procedure Board Update by amending the existing language as noted, deleting existing language where noted, and replacing it with a new language as shown, as set forth in Article 4 of the warrant for the December 6, 2025 special town meeting.
Motion made. Do I hear a second?
Second that.
Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this?
Mr. Moderator, Scott Zabak, Town Administrator. This is the second part of the change for the Personnel Policy and Procedure Board. This would just substitute the language of the PQB to the Select Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone to speak in opposition on the motion for Article 4? Any thoughts on this motion? Any comments? Seeing none, we'll vote for the motion for Article 4. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 5, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sums of monies from the accounts listed as shown in Article 5 of the December 6, 2025 special town meeting warrant for the previous fiscal year bills totaling an amount of $12,338.17.
Motion made. Do I hear a second?
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please?
Mr. Moderator, Scott Zabak, Town Administrator. This is a requirement for town meeting to approve any bills from the previous fiscal year that need to be paid. As usual, we always receive some of the invoices after July 1st, after the close of it. In order for us to move forward with paying them, it requires town meeting approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak in opposition? Any comments? My decaf coffee has kicked in. We realize we need a 9/10 vote on this motion. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The motion passes unanimously, meeting our 9/10 requirement. May I hear a motion for Article 6, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $60,279 from retained earnings to the Water Enterprise Fund line within the Water Department.
Motion made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please?
Mr. Moderator, Scott Zabak, Town Administrator. First, I would like to thank our Water Superintendent and the Water Commission for working with me on finding this. What this motion would do would essentially change or transfer money within the Water Department, about $60,000. And this is from something that we discovered from back in FY22, FY23, that the town had inadvertently paid an overage for a water main replacement project. So what this would do, it would be transfer the money within the water department, and that would allow the water department to reimburse the town for roughly $60,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to speak in opposition for this motion? Any comments, any questions? None? Seeing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of the motion for Article 6, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Motion for Article 6 passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 7, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $19,466.68 from the Land Use Coordinator account to the Conservation Agent salary account.
Motion made. Do I hear a second?
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on the motion for Article 7, please?
Mr. Moderator, Scott Zabak, Town Administrator. So what this article would do would be transfer money from the land use planner position to the conservation agent. During the budget process of last year, we budgeted the conservation agent for 3 months in anticipation of transitioning to a land use coordinator position. That land use coordinator position will not be filled or moved forward with this fiscal year, but we still have a lot of work that the Conservation Commission needs to do, and we require their services of the agent. So this would continue to fund the conservation agent part-time for the rest of the fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition for Article 7? Any comments, questions? Seeing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of the motion for Article 7, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 8, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $5,907.70 from the Land Use Coordinator account to the Health Agent salary account.
Motion made or a second?
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Thank you. Who would like to speak on this, please?
Mr. Moderator, Scott Zabak, Town Administrator. Similarly to the previous article, this would transfer money from our land use coordinator position, which again is not going to be pursued this year, to the health agent. And this was due to because our wonderful new health agent, Claudia Santi, I don't know if she's here. Oh, there she is. Doing a fantastic job. She was actually hired after the budget process last year, so this would require the funding to bring her for the rest of the fiscal year. And she's done an amazing job and had very large shoes to fill from Jerry, but she's doing a great job. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition for this motion? Any comments, any questions? Seeing none, we'll vote for the motion under Article 8. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Motion passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 9, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $12,000 from the prior year encumbrances account to the street lighting account.
Motion made. Do I hear a second?
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Would like to speak on this, please?
Mr. Moderator, Scott Zabak, Town Administrator. I may need a little break from walking up and back.
You get a chair right there.
So this would transfer money from our prior year encumbrances account, which is money that we set aside from the prior fiscal year to pay off any funds that may incur in the next fiscal year. That account has been closed off. Everything's been paid off. So we're able to transfer $12,000 from that into our street lighting account. During the new budget process last year, I didn't transfer enough money into the street lighting account, so this would just even it out for the rest of the fiscal year. Thank you.
Who would like to speak in opposition? Any questions, any comments? Seeing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of the motion under Article 9, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Motion for Article 9 passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 10, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to authorize the Select Board, A, to acquire by purchase, gift, or eminent domain a fee simple interest in 40 acres of land, more or less, located at Rattle Hill Road, rear, Southampton, tax map 12, lot 10, and being the premises described in a deed recorded with the Hampshire County Registry of Deeds in Book 1509, page 614, to be under the care, custody, and control of the Conservation Commission pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 40, Section 8C, as it may hereafter be amended for conservation and passive recreation purposes, subject to the protections of Article 97 of the amendments to the Massachusetts Constitution. B, to raise and appropriate, borrow, or transfer from available funds, including the Community Preservation Fund, the amount of $50,000 for the purpose of funding said acquisition and costs incidental or related thereto, provided, however, that said monies shall not be expended unless the town receives the amount of $50,000 from Kestrel Land Trust or other sources for reimbursement of said purchase price. C, to authorize the Select Board to grant a conservation restriction on said parcel in compliance with general laws, Chapter 44B, Section 12A, and D, to authorize the Select Board to enter into all agreements and execute any and all instruments on behalf of the town as may be necessary or appropriate to carry out the purposes of this article.
Thank you. Motion made or a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm Mark Cassis, 19 Fomer Road. I speak today as Chairman of the Open Space Committee, a member of the Community Preservation Committee. This is a project that has been fully supported by the Open Space Committee, Conservation Commission, and the CPA Committee that strongly endorses this. This is a 40-acre parcel of land that's adjacent to 50 acres of the Great Trails Conservation Area, which is at the end of Walcott Road on the eastern slope of Pomeroy Meadow Mountain. This is consistent with what's listed in the open space plan and master plan for the town. Purchase will extend recreation opportunities and hiking trails for people. This is a parcel of land where the family wants to conserve this parcel. It's not the town going after, but this is what the family who currently owns it wants to see happen with this land. We want to thank Kestrel Land Trust for coordinating the funding to actually pay for the purchase of the property by the town. At this point, the only expenses potentially to the town would be the legal closing costs, and in fact, we're trying to find a grant for that. The impact on town taxes has come up as a concern for some people in the past. At this point, the total taxes on this property were last year are $516, which means 9 cents per person per year of taxes that they would have to make up. It's pretty minimal. This vote leverages the support of Kestrel Land Trust basically to get this property for what's going to be closing costs or maybe nothing. As a reminder, we've been able to leverage funds to get properties at minimal cost to the citizens of the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition to this article? Anybody want to speak in general?
Charlie Konecki, 146 Valley Road. General question. The $50,000 that we're going to allocate through CPA money that's going to be reimbursed, is that going to be reimbursed back to the CPA, or is that going to be as part of our free cash for the coming year?
Would like to answer that question. Mark?
Thank you for the question. There's a misunderstanding in that question. I just want to make sure we have the right give There is no CPA funding for this. It's all funds that Kestrel Land Trust will put together so the town give to the town to purchase the property. There's no CPA funding. There's no reimbursement issues for this parcel. There are for some of the other parcels that are on the articles and the warrant.
Thank you. That answer your question? Next.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Evan Huff, 132 Fulmer Road. I'm the chair of the Conservation Commission. Just like to speak briefly in support of this article. So this past August, the Conservation Commission voted unanimously to recommend acquiring this piece of land using outside funding, specifically through Kestrel Land Trust. As Mark noted, this land abuts existing protected open space, and its acquisition would expand conservation in this area. Preserving this land ensures continued protection of the valuable wildlife habitat and maintains the rural character that Southampton is known for. Additionally, I'd like to thank Kestrel for the work that they've done to raise the funds to cover this purchase price, leaving the town responsible only for the closing fees, which, as Mark just pointed out, may be covered by a grant. So for these reasons, the Conservation Commission supports Article 10. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Questions, opinions? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion for Article 10. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Motion for Article 10 passes unanimously. Mayor, a motion for Article 11, please.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to authorize the Select Board to A, to acquire by purchase, gift, or eminent domain a fee simple interest in 27 acres of land, more or less, located at Fulmer Road, Southampton, being all or a portion of tax map 27, lot 23, parens 3 acres, and all or a portion of tax map 27, lot 3, parens 24 acres, as approximately shown on the sketch plan on file with the town clerk, to be under the care, custody, and control of the Conservation Commission pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 40, Section 8C, as it may hereafter be amended, for conservation and passive recreation purposes, subject to the protections of Article 97 of the amendments to the Massachusetts Constitution. B, to transfer the amount of $426,900 from the Community Preservation Act Open Space account, parens remainder of available balance, end parens, and the undesignated account, for the purpose of funding said acquisition and costs incidental or related thereto, provided, however, that such funds shall not be expended unless the town is approved for a local acquisition for natural diversity land grant from the Massachusetts Division of Conservation Services and or any other such sources for reimbursement of all or a percentage of the cost of said property. C, to authorize the Select Board and or the Conservation Commission to apply for, accept, and expend any funds that may be provided by the Commonwealth or other public or private sources to defray all or a portion of the costs of said acquisition, including but not limited to grants and or reimbursement programs in any way connected with the scope of this article, which grants and or funds so received shall be used to repay all or a portion of the sums transferred from the Community Preservation Act hereunder. D, to authorize the Select Board to grant a conservation restriction on said parcel in compliance with General Laws, Chapter 44B, Section 12A. And E, to authorize the Select Board to enter into all agreements and execute any and all instruments on behalf of the town as may be necessary or appropriate to carry out the purposes of this article.
Thank you. May I hear a second, please?
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Again, Mark Cassis, 19 Fulmer Road, representing Open Space Committee and CPC Committee. This is a 27-acre parcel off of Fulmer Road. It's adjacent to a 102-acre parcel that a lot of people know as the Wolf Hill Conservation Area that currently has wonderful hiking trails. And this will provide an opportunity to connect those trails to existing trails. It also connects to over 4,000 acres of land that's protected by Holyoke Waterworks, providing incredible wildlife corridor, there's otters in Alder Creek, there's moose in the larger area, waterfowl, other wildlife. A unique opportunity to protect an important corridor. It will allow for the additional walking trails. The town was successfully able to apply for and receive a land grant. The Open Space Committee, with the assistance of the Ad Hoc Grant Committee, applied for a grant for a total of It says for $6,900, of which 66% of that will be reimbursed from the state to pay the family to purchase this land for the town. It will be owned outright by the town. That 66%, which is $271,754, will be reimbursed to the town and go back to the CPA funds after all the closing of the property. The grant also includes other costs of surveying and the closing costs. So again, there will be minimal, no other costs to the town as best we understand. Just want to remind people, CPA funds, which this does use, can only be used for certain functions. They cannot be used for salaries or any capital costs for the town, can only be used for open space, recreation, historical preservation, or affordable housing or community housing. We've been able to raise funds, and historically 80% of the funds raised locally have been matched by a state trust fund. So in this project, less than 1 out of every $5 is actually coming from local funds. The rest is all state fund. So we've been very effective at leveraging the town's limited resources. Again, to address tax concerns, last year, because this was in Chapter 61A, the total taxes for this parcel were $91. So the individual impact on taxes, if it's bought by the town, it will be less than 2 cents per resident per year, actually very close to 1 cent per resident per year. Again, this vote, if you support it, helps leverage use of our limited funds, and again, CPF funds that can only be used for certain functions, and the incredible help of Kestrel Land Trust to purchase this beautiful parcel. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition of this motion under Article 11? Any other general comments, questions?
Thank you, Moderator. Evan Huff, 132 Fulmer Road, Chair of the Conservation Commission. So I'm here to speak in support of this article. On August 18th, the Conservation Commission voted unanimously to acquire this 27-acre property. And it was an easy decision for us because of the value. There's open space, recreation, wildlife habitat, and the protection of Southampton's character. As Mark pointed out, the land sits directly next to the 102-acre Wolf Hill Conservation Area in Alder Pond, and it also connects to the 4,000-plus acres owned by Holyoke Waterworks. The adjacent property at Wolf Hill offers a trail that's about 1.25 miles long, and by acquiring this land, we should be able to expand that trail network, giving more opportunities for families and hikers to enjoy what Southampton has to offer. On the wildlife side, it does provide habitat for all of the species that Mark listed, otters, bear, deer, moose, waterfowl, and as well as many others that depend on connected, undisturbed natural areas. I also want to emphasize that the current landowners want this land protected. They have intentionally chose conservation so that future generations could enjoy the land as they have. And for these reasons, the Conservation Commission strongly urges support for Article 11. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion for Article 11. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The motion for Article 11 passes unanimously. Mayor, a motion for Article 12, please.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $150,000 from the Community Preservation Act undesignated fund account for the cost of installing a walking path and spray pad within Conant Park and any costs incidental or related thereto, provided, however, that no funds shall be expended until the town has received a grant commitment in the amount of $99,000 under the Park PARC grant program per Chapter 301 CMR 5.
Motion made or second?
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please?
Good morning, Mr. Moderator. Dylan Maudsley, Caitlin Way, and Park Commission Chair. I was standing here a little over 3 years ago, I believe, at the regular town meeting discussing this very exact project. The town overwhelmingly supported it, and we began the difficult task of planning a whole new installation at Conan Park. In that process, we ran into roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, the most persistent one being if anyone who spent time over there, the difficult nature of the soils that are Conan Park, specifically around drainage and water infiltration. We had to go back to GZA Environmental, who was the lead designer on this multiple times, to dig test pits and do additional testing to ensure that if we were to install this project, it would be done in a way that was environmentally friendly and accessible and usable for the town for years to come. Unfortunately, through all the process and these challenges we faced, we ran into a time crunch where we ran out of time on the grant and we're no longer able to access that park grant. In the meantime, the state came back and told us they wanted to complete a master plan before they would reauthorize any money. In the intervening years, we were able to develop a master plan for Conan Park, which is available on the website, I believe. And we, through the support of the grant committee, reapplied for that park grant. The equipment has already been purchased. It's at the highway department. We are ready to move forward on construction. There's very minor changes that would need to be made to the design. We actually had a meeting on this very issue about a week ago to discuss with GZA Environmental for any changes that we would need to make, and everything seems to be on budget and on the proper timelines. The thing I want to be most clear about on this is not new money. This is money that was previously allocated at a prior town meeting that were in CPA funds were earmarked for. We are simply asking that that money be reauthorized for the purpose of completing this project. So this is not an additional ask of the CPA or the taxpayers' money. And to address one other concern, which I know has been brought up in the past, is how does the Parks Commission plan on paying for this moving forward? As part of the redesign project, we looked at doing a really low flow splash pad. This is a little smaller in scope than I think we originally anticipated, but at maximum would be about 28 gallons per minute, and it would be a time system. So realistically, you would have no more than 8 to 10 gallons per minute on. We've calculated out expected usage with weather patterns, and it's well within the department's current budget of user fees and money that it generates internally to be able to fund the ongoing usage and maintenance of this project. It would not be an additional burden on the taxpayers from the general fund. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition of the motion for Article 12? Any comments, general opinions on the motion? Step right up.
Tammy Walunitz, 298 College Highway. I know the money's already been approved for this, but is there a way, as a moderator, handouts to be in a font that everyone can read? Because this font is very blurry, that a lot of us have said.
That wasn't the moderator's offer.
I know, but I believe they're brought to your attention, and you have to approve them, right?
We'll think that in the future. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sierra Simmons, the chair of the Community Preservation Committee. I just want to reiterate that this is, not only is it not new money, and it was something that was already voted several years ago, but I just want to remind everyone that CPA funds can't be used for any other kind of like operational costs. They're designated to only these 3 categories, one of which is open space and recreation, which is this one. So this isn't taking money away from anything, like health insurance or things like that. This is money that's designated only for this, and that's matched at around 80% by the state. So leveraging state funds, it's a great deal. Thanks.
Thank you.
Kurt Nealon, 51 Cottage Ave. One quick question. Has anyone done an impact of the water consumption with the restrictions we already have with the water department for the spray park? Does anybody know what kind of impact it's going to have on the water department and the water usage?
Thanks for your question.
Dylan Maudsley, Park Commission Chair. The water department has been involved in the conversation. I can't say we've done a specific direct impact on total potential usage on the aquifer. That being said, usage-wise, this is going to be substantially less than I think most residential sprinkler systems would be using I mean, if we ran all the time, it would be multiple households, but it is not an unbelievable amount of water. Additionally, it's a public resource. It's considered a cooling station for the purposes, I believe, of the state concerns around water usage, and it is also on a time bollard. So this is not water that would be running consistently, but would be used only on demand when people are actually there and using the spray deck.
Thank you. That answer your question? Cheers.
Mike Bueller, 88 High Street. Just a quick question. Where exactly in Conan Park will this splash pad be located? And is there anywhere online where we can see a plan? And I'm only wishing my kids weren't 21 and 24 now.
Okay.
Thank you for the question. The siting of the splash pad is, if you can use your mind's eye to imagine Conan Park, if you were parked at the Edwards Library lot and walking into Conan Park with the pavilion on your left and the small tot playground on your right, if you were to draw a line from kind of where the front of the pavilion, where the stage is normally set up, directly to that tot playground, it's about a 25-foot circle that would be placed equidistant between the tot playground and the pavilion, right near kind of where the end of the current gravel path that leads up onto the field space is where it would be located. So we also did consider looking at summer concert usage and Celebrate Southampton to ensure that the placement of it would not impact other users of the park in the ability to use the pavilion and being able to have access to those fields.
Can I answer your question? Great. Oh, go ahead, Tammy.
Tammy Lunas, 298 College Highway, co-chair of Celebrate Southampton. With hearing this is the first I've heard of this, of being included in on the conversation of where this was going. Do we know when the building of this is going to be taking place? Because we've already picked a date for Celebrate Southampton 2026.
This is beyond the scope of the article. Michael, do you have a follow-up? No? Okay. Is there a plan online?
I think we have a draft site plan. I don't know that it's online yet. We can put it on the website on the Park Commission page. Sure. Yep, no problem.
Any comments? Any more opinions? Questions? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion for Article 12. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Motion for Article 12 passes by majority. May I hear a motion for Article 13, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to authorize the Select Board, A, to acquire by purchase, gift, or eminent domain a fee simple interest in 2.39 acres of land, more or less, located at Glendale Road, Southampton, tax map 19, lot 11A, and being the premises described in a deed recorded with the Hampshire County Registry of Deeds in Book 13211, page 336, to be under the care, custody, and control of the Conservation Commission pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 40, Section AC, as it may hereafter be amended, for conservation and passive recreation purposes, subject to the protections of Article 97 of the amendments to the Massachusetts Constitution. B, to raise and appropriate, borrow, or transfer from available funds, including the Community Preservation Act Fund, the amount of $50,000 for the purpose of funding said acquisition and costs incidental or related thereto, provided, however, that said monies shall not be expended unless the Conservation Commission contributes the amount of $35,000 from the Hazel Young Memorial account and/or the Conant Wildlife account or other such source to pay the balance of the purchase price. C, to authorize the Select Board to grant a conservation restriction on said parcel in compliance with General Law, Chapter 44B, Section 12A. And D, to authorize the Select Board to enter into all agreements and execute any and all instruments on behalf of the town as may be necessary or appropriate to carry out the purposes of this article.
Motion made. Do I hear a second?
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on the motion for Article 13, please?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Evan Huff, 132 Fulmer Road, Chair of the Conservation Commission. Being the last article between us and the rest of our Saturday, I'll try to keep this very brief. So the Conservation Commission voted recently to move forward with bidding on this parcel off of Glendale Road with using $35,000 from our own Conservation Commission accounts towards the purchase. The land is small in size, but important in function by effectively completing the roughly 100-acre SIPTA conservation area, and apologies if I pronounced that name wrong. With the CPA covering the remaining portion of the offer, this acquisition guarantees continued long-term recreational and conservation benefits for Southampton. We're bringing the article to town today to avoid potential delays by having to ask the seller to wait until the special town meeting, this town meeting in May, if they accept our offer. Should it be accepted, the approval today would allow us to go through with that acquisition. The Conservation Commission is in support of this, and as am I. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition? Any other general comments, questions?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mark Cassis, again, speaking for CPA Committee. Again, the CPA Committee did approve the funding of $50,000 towards this project, which we consider important. It is, as said, a small portion that preserves the view onto the existing ZIPTA conservation land, protects water resources, it prevents this land potentially going into a development of a house or something that would obstruct views. As a reminder, CPA funds are still only available for this sorts of project. Just to clarify, under this proposal, Kestrel Land Trust or a similar agent would be holding a conservation restriction on the property. We've put in a request that we would only purchase the property contingent on the barn not being an issue, either being removed or excluded from the parcel that would be purchased. And the current funding was put in so that it covers legal costs, so there were not additional strains on the general town legal costs. Again, want to thank Kestrel Land Trust for helping support projects such as these. Thank you.
Thank you.
Charlie Konecki, 146 Valley Road. First, I'm delighted to hear that the barn's going to be removed before we own it, because we don't need to own another barn, I don't believe. The second question is, there's a lot of stress going on about protecting the groundwater for the well and everything else. I assume a 21E is going to be conducted to evaluate to make sure there was no chemical spillages in those barns, given the fact that it was an agricultural operation prior to us accepting ownership.
Thank you. Who would like to answer that?
Mr. Moderator, Mark Cassis again. The language purchase agreement would only be put in contingent upon passing or acceptable level 1 ESA, which is environmental site assessment, to address concern about any environmental issues on the property.
Thank you. Answer your question? Thank you. Anyone next? Come right up.
Mike Bueller, 88 High. Which CPA account would be used to fund this acquisition?
Question.
That would be from the undesignated account.
Answer your question. Great. Any other comments, opinions, questions? Seeing none, we'll vote for the motion on Article 13. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The motion for Article 13 passes unanimously. That concludes our business for the morning. I will entertain a motion now to dissolve our special town meeting. Second. All in favor? Opposed? This special town meeting is dissolved. Thank you, Lucy Dalton, our town clerk, Deputy Moderator Sarah Simmons, our accountants, Police Chief Ian, and E-Media, Tim, Jackson, and Ryan. Thank you for your valued participation. Told you I'd get you home before lunch.